Jen,
What?
you're on the wrong side.
I know. StreamYard is weird.
What's going on?
Oh, nothing. Just gonna have a mental breakdown.
Well, it wouldn't be Friday if you weren't having a mental breakdown and if we didn't have technological problems. But right now, it's time for.
You talk too much, you worry me to death. You talk too much, you even worry my pet. You just talk too much.
Well, hello there, daughter.
Hello, mother.
And hello to our 7 viewers. All right.
Yay, that's a record.
It might be a record. It might be. Well, in case any of you think that it's easy putting this show on for you, I want to play a little clip of a little bit of what was happening backstage before we got on. Watch this.
Doing. Why? Are you laughing at? I hate this. That's so mean. That angle is terrible.
Listen, people think that it's easy putting this show on for our tens and tens of viewers. Oh, it's good to have you back, even though you're having a bad day.
I'm not having a bad day. I'm having a bad 30 minutes.
Well, hopefully we could bring some joy into your life. There's a lot of stuff happening in the news. And guess what? Today we have 0 cow stories. None.
0 and up. We went from 4 to 7 guests. All right. 0 cow stories.
0 cow stories. So anybody that tuned in to see what was going on with the bovine community, I hate to disappoint you. We have no cow stories today because we don't need cow stories. What has been going on in the press has been so highly ridiculous that it's, we just might as well do straight news. So we're going to start off by our own Kristen Gillibrand. You know who she is. She's our senator here in New York, right?
I know who she is. Of course I know who she is.
All right. Well, she led the charge on getting the government to study UFOs. UFOs.
So there's so much that's not going on. We need to study that.
Well, some people call her a space cadet. So this way, I know you're the comedian. I'm not. Well, watch what's going on.
Whatever they are,
There's a whole fleet of them.
they seem to defy the rules of physics, hovering in the wind, stopping instantly, and moving extremely fast at hypersonic speeds, then diving into the ocean.
What was splashed? Splashed. Mark bearing and range.
The first theory, software glitches in the tracking radars create on-screen illusions, but a government source says there were no glitches, and the veteran Navy pilots are very credible.
As it gets in front of me, it just goes poof and it's gone. It's gone like that fast.
Poof, it's gone like that. Kind of like our tax dollars. Poof.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? The other day I got that thing. You got my 1099. Was it 51 cents? They took 14 cents out of the 51 cents that I don't know who sent it to me and paid me for something, but
somebody paid you 51 cents for something. While the United States will now be collecting data on UFOs, the new National Defense Authorization Act calls for an exploration of the unknown. Lou Alzanando, the former director of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, says if there's a reported incident, now there's a requirement for us to react to that information and go and collect the information. Gillibrand led the charge, saying these are serious issues of national security and technology that we should know about. The program seeks to quickly investigate unidentified aerial phenomena share the information with other countries, tell Congress if other nations or some other entity are behind the cases, and check into reports of service members who have experienced health issues after they encounter unknown objects. So we are
I hate this country. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Oh, well, why? You don't want to you don't want to track UFOs?
We get gun tips in New York City and no one goes to investigate it.
Jen, this is a first for Right Stuff. I have Jim Kilkenny from the NICA, the New York Independent Contractors Alliance, tuning into the show to tell me to call him because he lost my number. They're not
there to watch the show. He's just there to tell you to call him. Look, he probably logged off.
We have reached new heights in Right Stuff.
Now we're just a text messaging service.
So thank you to all of our tens and tens of viewers, and to Jim
just
Kilkenny.
10. It's just 10. Well, now
it's just 10. It's not even 10
of 10.
Jim, I'll give you a call right after I'm off the air. If it's
a very important podcast, Jim.
We're talking about UFOs. Maybe Area 55 will be. We'll find out what's buried there in the desert. Okay, well, from outer space to New Yorkers leaving New York to go to Florida, we know that they have gone in the millions, actually. And what is Mayor Adams doing about all those New Yorkers moving to Florida? Is he lowering taxes? Is he cleaning our streets? Doing something about crime? No. He's putting up billboards urging only the LGBTQ community to return back to the city. This is after the Florida legislature passed the parental rights bill and Governor DeSantis signed it into law. And yes, that 14 cents that you paid off your taxes is paying for it. Here you go.
So I'm the mayor of this city, the city of the LGBTQ plus community, as we see people in government and out of government understanding how your voice is respected here in the city. And that's what this movement of Don't Say Gay is about. This political showmanship of attempting to demonize a particular group or community is unacceptable. And we are going to loudly show our support and say to those who are living in Florida, listen, we want you here in New York. We want you right here in New York City, partner with WPPP to put up billboards in major markets across Florida to let everyone know. We're targeting Fort Lauderdale, Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, and West Palm Beach. We believe we're going to get about 5 million impressions, and they're going to be up for an 8-week period.
Yep. So they're not going to worry about crime, not going to worry about, the homeless in the street. We're going to put up billboards with our tax dollars.
No. I thought they were donated. He says they're going to be
they're working with WPPP, and I don't know. They're donated. I don't know. Were all those commercials about the vaccine donated too? This city can spend money like nobody's business. Thomas Reyes says these people have their priorities screwed up. Indeed. Tom, I wonder if we could get Christine Gillibrand to get Mayor Adams into one of those UFOs and into outer space.
These people are all from there already. We've been invaded.
That might be a worthy use of our tax dollars. I mean, I can't. I mean, really? How about spending that money, with the police?
They don't know how. So they're picking the easy things, like putting a billboard up.
Well, this is his idea of tourism in New York. I'm gonna put the you can say anything you want billboards up. But speaking of footing the bill, this one I love. Patrice Culler, the head of BLM, used millions of dollars donated to the organization to purchase. Guess what?
What?
Come on, take a guess. BLM, it's for rights of Black people.
I
It's
thought that she bought a mansion, but I could be wrong.
You're right.
Oh,
Because somehow or another, her owning a mansion will help the thousands of young Black people who are shot every day and who need work. Well, let's have a look at this mansion that she bought.
Listen to a story about a man named Jed. A poor mountaineer barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground come a bubbling crude oil, that is, black gold, Texas tea. Well, the first thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. The kinfolk said, Jed, move away from there. Said, California is the place you ought to be. So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly Hills, that is, swimming pools, movie stars.
But the video was from the New York Post, but I added the music.
Ah, well, lovely. Very entertaining. They're so full of shit, those people.
The original purchase price in October 2020 was $3.1 million, but by the time it was transferred to a shell company controlled by Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation days later, the price had increased to $5.8 million.
Amazing.
So and at the end there, you saw that was her tweet. She was complaining that because people actually covering it and asking
because she actually got caught.
She got caught. So she was complaining now that major publications are racist because they want to know what's going on.
Where she got her money. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So she claims that's a place for young Black artists to do recording and
so she'll
stay. So they have a place to live.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Whoa, watch your step. You could walk into some bullshit.
Okay. So everybody who donated to BLM, Patrice Culler has a great new house for you to visit. Even if you didn't donate, you should go. I want to see somebody show up on that doorstep. I say, hi, I'm here to record a video. I'm here to live. So,
I'm moving out. I'm going there. Give me the address.
Well, I'm thinking that we should buy a whole bunch of bus tickets and send a whole bunch of young people from New York, Chicago, over to Patrice Culler's new mansion and see if she lets him in. What do you think?
I think it's a great idea. I'm down. I'll fly.
Margie says maybe she's going to do a summer camp.
Yeah. By herself.
I think that it's a good idea. I think that I'm going to start working on. Maybe we could get the buses donated. Maybe, or maybe better than that. Maybe we could get Governor Abbott to foot the bill.
Let's
Did
try.
Did you hear what Governor Abbott said?
I did not.
Oh my gosh, Jennifer, what have you been doing this week?
Working.
All right. Well, you know that we have a problem at the southern border with migrants, right? So Governor Abbott of Texas has decided that he is going to address the issue because the Biden administration is not addressing the issue. And so he's had enough, and he's using his power as the leader of a foreign state to do something about it. He's buying illegal migrants a one-way bus ticket to Washington, D.C. so they can go and see the nation's capital and ask Joe Biden for work. Watch this. Now that's one.
Deploy 10,000 National Guard and DPS troopers to the southern border. They have apprehended more than 200,000 migrants so far. They've arrested more than 11,000, including cartel members, drug smugglers, and cop killers. And of course, they have seized more fentanyl that is enough to kill every man, woman, and child in Texas. Today, I'm announcing a series of new strategies that will be added on to Operation Lone Star to curtail the flow of drug cartel smuggling and migrants and drugs. The first involves inspections. A zero-tolerance policy for unsafe vehicles for smuggling migrants across the border is being implemented immediately. Second, to help local officials whose communities are being overwhelmed by hordes of illegal immigrants who are being dropped off by the Biden administration, Texas is providing charter buses to send these illegal immigrants who have been dropped off by the Biden administration to Washington, D.C.
That's my billboard. Didn't all fit.
Well, maybe you need more than one billboard.
It's not very big, but it's fine.
Well, and your handwriting, your penmanship is clear. Very good. Very good.
I'm done paying for you all. All of you.
With your 51 cents.
Can you imagine? It cost more to mail. Like, I was embarrassed to even send it to my accountant. He's like, "What is this?" I said, "You tell me, because I have no idea."
Yeah, and you have no idea. So the check didn't go to you.
They didn't even have my right address. I haven't lived in your house in ages, years and years and years, decades. No,
It's true. It's true.
no idea. It's probably someone trying to tap into my account.
Trying to steal your identity.
Good luck.
Be careful. Next, they'll try and steal your vote.
Doesn't matter anyway.
Well, I mean, the fact that the Biden administration is doing zero to stop this migration at the border, and that it's going to even do less by next month, Title 42 will be expired, and so now, there's no checks, no anything for help, so they'll be walking across that border even worse than they are right now. And the biggest problem that's going on right now at the border, from everybody that I'm speaking to, is not only the young children that are being killed and the women that are being killed, and the fact that criminals are coming into the country, but the cartels are bringing fentanyl into the country, and it's killing our young people. And this administration that was so hot on COVID, and if even one person dies, is doing zero.
But are they vaccinated when they come here?
No.
Exactly.
No. But they're supposed to be screened for vaccination and then be offered vaccination.
No, they have to have it. If everybody has to have it, if you want to come here, you have to get it.
Well, Jen, if you want to come here, you have to apply, wait.
Well, obviously, I'm just saying, if all of the people that do live here that are citizens that have jobs are losing their jobs because they're not vaccinated, how come they could just come and run rampant?
Oh, you want it to make sense. You want...
Yes.
Oh, you want them to be no hypocrisy in government. Yeah, wrong.
Same way with welfare. Get drug tested. Tested every month.
Wrong
to stay on the program.
Well, as we get on in the program, you're going to see that the hypocrisy runs so deep with what's going on right now, not only with the border and the migrants, but with everything. I mean, the hypocrisy is just beyond. I mean, we all heard Nancy Pelosi has COVID now. And Jen, well, you're going to see in a few minutes, Jen Psaki went at it with Peter Doocy about whether or not everybody was wearing masks, and whether they were going to cancel the swearing in of the new Supreme Court justice because Nancy Pelosi and Biden and Obama and Kamala were all at the event together, and then Pelosi comes up, COVID positive, and Saki gives us a great explanation about why. Well, we'll see in a minute. But first, those migrants, maybe if they're in DC, they can go and shake Joe Biden's hand because nobody really wanted to shake Joe Biden's hand the other day. You heard that he had a celebration at the White House for the anniversary of Obamacare.
Yes.
All right. So did you see any of the footage of the after party?
No, I've been working. I'm not retired.
Okay, I am. So I get to see all this stuff. So let me show you what happened after Biden's,
Play it. Let's see.
Made the changes to Obamacare.
Go.
Okay.
I'll circle around. I'll meet you around. We even have outer space here.
He was looking for a corner to go pee in.
Is that amazing? He had to go look for that woman to bring up there, and then he goes to bring her to Obama to say hello to Obama. And Obama says to him, "Oh, I'm saying hello to people. I'll circle back around and see you later. I'll circle back around." Biden's like, "I feel like I'm in outer space here." I mean, he isn't.
Well, that's why we're looking for the UFOs. They're trying to figure out what the hell happened. He stared at the curtain for 15 seconds. He was probably peeing his pants. That's what kids do. They go in the corner and they shit themselves. That's what he's probably doing. It's disgraceful. Can't stand that, man. You okay?
I mean, this is the leader of the free world. This is the man that had more votes than any other president in the history of the United States. That's the man. He was twirling around in circles. He couldn't find anybody to speak to. Come on, man.
I can't. I'm moving.
Oh my! Where are you moving to? Listen, we've got millions of people coming.
I'm going to Ukraine.
Well,
I'm safer there.
Well, if you call Hunter Biden, he could hook you up. You probably are safer there. Oh my God, I can't. But so that's Joe, right? So that's our president, right? And now look what happens to Obama. Look at how people in the crowd they couldn't get close enough to him.
It's because they put Biden down for a nap.
He was in the back. Did you see him? He was in the back. He didn't move. You could see his head in the background. Nobody wanted to talk to him. He had to go around looking for people to talk to. While Obama, they were taking selfies, they were posing, and Biden was in the back doing nothing.
Pooping his pants.
Peeing his pants. Peeing his pants. And then Obama, I guess Biden finally had enough. And he was trying to get out of there, but he couldn't leave. So he's trying to get Obama's attention. Watch this one. And Obama totally ignores him. Totally ignores him.
He's like, hey, I think I know you. Do I know you? You want a Werther's original? I have 5 of them in my pocket. That poor man.
You know,
country.
Well, here's what I don't get. I don't get this. I mean, do the people that work for Joe Biden believe he really got all those votes? I've worked for governors, mayors, and presidents. And the first rule is you never put anybody in the room with you that's more popular than you are, right? The first rule. The president has to have all of the attention on him. Whose idea was it to bring Obama out for this? Whose idea? I mean, love him or hate him, it doesn't matter. The man was wildly popular.
Oh, yeah.
He was as popular as Trump.
Well, he had one of the most charismatic presidents ever. But Bill Clinton, JFK, Obama,
Ronald Reagan.
Reagan, of course.
Yeah, I mean, so you bring the most charismatic president, and you used a great word, and you put him next to Sleepy Joe Biden, and if you watch the whole event, even the C-SPAN cameras kept following Obama. Joe was standing in the back, but C-SPAN was following Obama around the room. I would have been fired. I would have been fired if I suggested this.
Well, then we wouldn't have this long segment on our show for our 5 viewers. So thank you, whoever works for Biden, for doing that. Because you now made it almost a half hour into the show.
And we made it almost a half an hour, and we're not even 10s of 10s. We're 5s of 5s.
We are half of 10. Half of 10 of the viewers.
Yeah, so it was this event. After this event, Pelosi tested positive for COVID. And so that's why Ducey was asking the questions about the event that just took place a couple of minutes ago on the White House lawn. They swore in the new Supreme Court justice. It was historic, first Black woman ever to sit on the Supreme Court. Whether or not she's qualified doesn't matter.
How do they know she got it from there?
Well, that's the whole idea of track and trace, right? That was
They're still doing that shit? Sorry.
Well, all of a sudden
we can't even get the Gowanus finished. You think that we can track and trace people? Stop it.
Well, that's what's supposed to happen. If you have it and you were at an event, you have to, notify everybody at the event that you were at that you have it so that they can report it and track it. And there's the little app on your phone that follows you around.
But she's vaccinated like 25 times, right? And the vaccination works.
She had all her vaccines. She had her boosters. She had all of that. And so, after the event, the question was, well, now that we know she has COVID, is everybody at the event now are you going to cancel the swearing in ceremony? Because they don't want a super spreader, right? Because when Trump did it, it was called the super spreader. Everybody got it. All the problems, blah, blah, blah. All right. So you're sitting down. That's good because you're gonna need to be sitting down to watch this next clip because I couldn't even believe the hypocrisy. I know. Shut up and play the clip. I'm going to shut up and play the clip. Here we go.
how can you guys say that President Biden was not a close contact with Speaker Pelosi when there is video of the speaker kissing him?
Well, Peter, the way that it is defined is by the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, and their definition of it is 15 minutes of contact within a set period of time and within 6 feet. It did not meet that bar. It does not mean that that no one will get COVID around the world who does not have a close contact. It just means we are defining for all of you whether the president and their interaction met the definition of the CDC of a close contact.
So now COVID has a time limit for when he's going to strike. So it was 10 p.m., 15 minutes. God forbid you're somewhere at 10:01 for 16 minutes. Oh my God. Do they wake up and think that they're intelligent, or do they just know they're bullshitting the country?
I have to believe that they know that they're lying for their teeth, and never, I did that side by side because obviously you don't have real life happening side by side. But everybody that saw that event went on the C-SPAN. That room was packed for over 2 hours. And you saw him and Obama and Nancy Pelosi all hugging and kissing and patting each other on the back. And she's saying, well, the CDC defines it as, and so we don't have to do X, Y, Z. And today at the swearing in, Kamala Harris was there without a mask, and she's hugging the new Supreme Court justice.
But didn't Jen also say 6 feet apart?
6 feet apart. So this America is what we're getting. If everybody believes that they are telling you the truth, you're out of your mind. They are proficient liars, and there's the word hypocrisy does not exist for them, because they are the most brilliant people, and we, the American public, are idiots. We're just idiots, and we have to be spoon-fed bullshit, and you have to eat it. So, well, look at all the police out of work, all of the firefighters, sanitation, all of that. Well, and in the meanwhile, in New York, we have toddlers being masked. Toddlers, right?
Can you imagine?
So we're masking up toddlers. We're firing police and fire and sanitation and city workers for not having vaccines. Nancy Pelosi can go to an event, spread COVID around. Kamala Harris can be at that event. We all saw that tight circle. And then she can go to the next event, and because it's outside, and because it was an emotional event.
Well, COVID doesn't like outside. He doesn't like the sun, COVID. I heard.
Yeah. So because it was outside, she didn't need to wear a mask. And yesterday at the Senate, when she presided over the Senate, the hearing, the vote for the Supreme Court justice, she didn't have a mask on there.
But the kids have to wear a mask during recess, the toddlers, outside.
No, not during recess, all day.
No, I know. I'm just saying they're outside during recess.
That's correct. So, and God forbid you question the mayor on his policy and the hypocrisy of his policy. If you work in city government, you're going to get fired. I don't know if you heard, but he fired Daniela Jempel, who worked in the law department, because when he had that press conference that I showed you earlier about the billboards, she went into the press conference and she raised her hand to ask a question, and the staff thought she was press. So she didn't present herself as press. She just went to the press conference because she was a city worker. She asked the question and they fired her. Here is the question she asked.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. 3 weeks ago, you told parents to trust you, that you would unmask our toddlers. 10 days ago, you stood right here and you said that the masks would come off on April 4th. That has not happened. You reneged on your promise, and not only did you renege on your promise, you had your lawyers race to court on Friday night to overturn a state court bill.
No. Let her finish, because you let her start. Go ahead and finish, ma'am, okay? But you got to come to a conclusion. Can't do it. Okay, come to a conclusion and turn on your phone so you can get my answer correctly. But come to a conclusion. Okay, how are you back there?
March 17th that you would trust me, I will unmask your toddlers. You had your lawyers race to court on Friday night, arguing that there would be irreparable harm if children under 5 were allowed to take off their masks today, along with their older siblings in school. So my questions are, what is the irreparable harm to children aged 2 to 4 taking off their masks, just as they do in Long Island, just as they do in Westchester? When will you unmask our toddlers?
Thank you. As I stated, as you indicated, I made the announcement that we were looking to announce today, which is Monday, to take the mask off to 2 to 4 years old. But I also stated, if we see an uptick, we will come back and make the announcement of what we're going to do. We're going to pivot and shift as COVID is pivoting and shifting. There's a new variant. The numbers are increasing. We're going to move at the right pace, and that's the role I must do. That's what I stated. I'm living up to my promises. If I have to pivot and shift and have other adults do something different, I'm going to do so. I'm going to continue to do so. I answered your question. If you want to follow up, we can do a follow-up, but I answered your question.
So,
Go ahead.
I happen to know Daniela Jampel. Do you know who that is? Because I'm looking at the photos online, and all those photos I took because I unmasked the kids. Remember the parents? I did that whole thing when I met Yang. That was the mother who I worked with. She was my client. And they're major liberals, all of them. They live in the city. Very nice woman. I wasn't allowed to talk about who I had to be quiet because I was to the right. I wasn't allowed to let the mothers know who I was. But very big on unmask the kids. Huge. And she is very much a liberal, which is funny. I mean, but very much. And so one of his own people went up against him and asked him a question. Yep. And it's unfortunate that she got fired. She has a family to provide for.
Well, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Her family doesn't matter because she's a lawyer, right? She's a lawyer. She's educated, so she must be one of the
very educated.
Yeah, no, we don't care about Daniela Jampel or Daniela's kids or anybody who does the right thing and tries to be involved in their kids' education. That's not allowed. This mayor is masking those kids, and in the meanwhile, you have Ron DeSantis who's saying parents should decide when and where children are taught about sexuality, and it certainly shouldn't be for kids in the second grade and below. And he's being called a racist, anti-gay, anti-everything. But this mayor slaps a mask on your kids and he doesn't care. And I loved how he said, it's up to me to decide. It's up to me to decide. And it's up to, and I'll mask the adults if I have to pivot and shift.
Well, you know what his problem is? When he came in here, if you notice his track record, he says, I'm not overturning it. It's up to me. But then he'll wait 2 weeks and he'll overturn it and he'll overturn it and he'll overturn it. He wants to be, he has a complex. He has a huge, he wants to be loved and he has to be right. And that's how he was in the NYPD. And that's who he is as our mayor. He has to be the star. He has to be the top dog, the one who says it, whether it's right or wrong, it's on his terms. So he'll take everyone else what they want and he'll finally give it to you, but on his timeline.
Oh, so like a dictator.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, you know, again, hypocrisy. This is the theme of this whole entire show. It's about the hypocrisy of the left. And you know, if we just continue to do shows on hypocrisy, we'll have so much material.
You're just gonna all say we edited it. You edited the video. You did this.
And that's why
I made Biden turn around and stare at the curtains and take a shit in his pants for 4 minutes. Yeah, that was me.
Lucille Chavone is one of the 5 of people that we have on today. Hey, it's the OG Lucille.
Hi,
How are you, Lucille? Well, you know, that's why I didn't edit that video. I wanted people to see. I wanted them to see that he thought he was so magnanimous that he answered the question. And, you know, so magnanimous, you know, she should have her phone closed so she could get the answer. You know, he works for us. for crying out loud. Why is this so hard for elected officials to understand that they are not God? They are not, they are not the be all and the end all. And at the end of the day, you work for us. No, it's when he decides. Well, speaking of liberals melting down, we've had a lot of meltdowns for liberals. Did you hear that Elon Musk, the great libertarian, the great inventor of things, the guy who does get things done, who knows that he could be a dictator if he wanted to. He could be holier than thou. He could be an elitist because he came from nothing. He's got Asperger's, and he created a rocket that can go into space and come back.
Good. You should load all those people up there and make it malfunction.
Well, he bought 9% of Twitter shares. And so now he's on the board.
Yep.
And now he gets a say in what happens on Twitter. And so this guy who created the Tesla, that the libs should be loving. Well,
even though the battery is made of stuff from China and actually kills the environment.
That's neither here. You keep wanting to go with facts, and this is about hypocrisy.
About what?
It's all hypocrisy. Remember, hypocrisy.
I'm just saying they love Teslas. The stuff in the battery that they use kills the earth.
That's once again, but the libs are not going to listen to that. That's, that goes against their philosophy of, we're right, you're wrong, that's the way it's got to go. But all of a sudden, the libs are now not liking Elon Musk. Listen to what one had to say. Let me see what Anand Gidardas tells MSNBC host Joy Reid that Musk's company is racist. Watch this.
People who cause our greatest social problems, global problems, are trying to con us into thinking not only that they're okay, but that they are the solution to the problems they've caused. So look at Musk. Musk has built his business through government subsidies years ago, and now turns around, stiffs the government on taxes, and explains how inefficient government spending is, and he can do everything better privately in space and elsewhere. He is building in Tesla a documentedly racist company that perhaps reminds him, gives him nostalgic memories of apartheid South Africa where he grew up.
So when we have nothing to say, let's pull out the racist card.
Always.
And he built his business on government subsidies. Well, what are the subsidies there for? Right? Well, he built a business using government subsidies. And to say he's stiffing the government on taxes, that man employs more people, pays more taxes than anybody on the planet.
And off the planet.
And he gave the government the ability to reuse engines. He said that the engines and the rockets in our aerospace were not being used. We were wasting taxpayer dollars because we come back and we dispose of them. He found a way to reuse them, recycle. Isn't that what the planet needs? Recycling. But now all of a sudden, because he bought a lion's share, the largest share of Twitter stock, and that he's sitting on the board and can actually have something to say about what happens in Twitter, now the libs are calling him a racist.
Well, are you surprised?
Honestly, I'm not surprised. You know what I'm surprised at? I'm surprised that they're leaving a trail of their hypocrisy around so that we can find it and put it together on shows like this. and talk about it with people. That's what you know what? I always said that I don't believe in conspiracy theories because once more than two people know what's going on or one person knows what's going on, it gets out in today's day and age. But it's not conspiracies anymore. Now it's just jumping on the bandwagon and telling you that the sky is red and the grass is blue and saying it with such a straight face that gullible people believe it, and then they repeat it and they regurgitate it. And that's what's happening in our news media. We don't have independent journalism. We don't have facts. We don't follow, quote unquote, the science and the logic. If today we feel like we're not going to follow the COVID rules because it's a historic event and I get emotional, and so what, that I was hugging somebody that tested positive yesterday, I'm allowed to hug you. But
no, you're not. You're not allowed to do anything. This is America.
And it breaks my heart because it feels like, the mainstream media and the elite commentators are, they have such sympathy for the people of Ukraine, as they should. But and if you hear Kamala Harris ever talk to other world leaders, they'll say, "Oh, your people, the people of Peru have such pride in being, Peruvian, or the people of Mexico have such pride in their country." But if you have pride in America, somehow you're bad because we're a racist country. But so
everyone wants to come here.
Yeah. So if we're so racist, we should all be racing down to the border saying to all those immigrants that are coming over. And by the way, they're not just Mexican. They come from Central America. They're coming from the Ukraine. They're coming from other countries now because they know that it's easier to get into America through the southern border. So everybody is going to Mexico and they're coming through on the border. Right? So that's how ridiculous it is. But why aren't the libs all running down there with care packages saying, we're racist, don't come here because you'll never get ahead, go somewhere else, right? No. But that's what libs do. That's what the news media is doing. That's what libs do. And speaking of liberal media, students at a Chicago university got to ask questions of editors and reporters who appeared at a forum hosted by their school. Have a look at Jeff Zucker's odd answers to legitimate questions about why the media is protecting the left. This was really interesting.
Hi, thank you for coming. My name is Christopher Phillips. I'm a first year at the college. My question is for Mr. Stelter. You've all spoken extensively about Fox News being a purveyor of disinformation, but CNN is right up there with them. They pushed the Russian collusion hoax. They pushed the Jussie Smollett hoax. They smeared Justice Kavanaugh as a rapist, and they also smeared Nick Sandmann as a white supremacist. And yes, they dismissed the Hunter Biden laptop affair as pure Russian disinformation. With mainstream corporate journalists becoming little more than apologists and cheerleaders for the regime, is it time to finally declare that the canon of journalistic ethics is dead or no longer operative? All the mistakes of the mainstream media, and CNN in particular, seem to magically all go in one direction. Are we expected to believe that this is all just some sort of random coincidence, or is there something else behind it?
It's too bad. It's time for lunch.
You have 30 seconds.
No, I mean, there's a clock that says 30 seconds. But I think my honest answer to you, and I'll come over and talk in more detail after this, is that I think you're describing a different channel than the one that I watch. But I understand that is a popular right-wing narrative about CNN. I think it's important when we talk about shared reality and democracy, all these networks, all these news outlets have to defend democracy. And when they screw up, admit it. But when Benjamin Hall, the Fox correspondent, was wounded in Ukraine, the news crews at CNN and the New York Times stopped what they were doing, and they tried to help. They tried to help him get out of the country. They tried to find the dead crew members. That's what news outlets do. That's how they actually do work together, to your question about sharing those kinds of connections and trust. We don't talk about it enough, though. We don't share that reality about how that happens. And with regards to the regime, I think you mean the President Biden. The last time I spoke with a Biden aide, We yelled at each other. So that's the reality of the news business that people don't see, that people don't hear. They imagine that it's a situation that it simply is not. But I think your question, it speaks to the failure of journalism to show our work and show the reality of how our profession operates. We have a lot of work to do, I think.
Well, we have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of work to do, and shame on my researchers. That was Brian Seltzer, not Jeff Zucker. But either way, what did that answer have to do? Why are you talking?
They dance around everything. Let me tell you, they must be the best tap dancers in all of this goddamn country, because that's how much they tap dance around questions.
I mean, first of all, bells to the kids. Because, he restored my faith in young people who attend college. Because when he called the Biden administration the regime, that was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But the question is what can we do to get mainstream media to report honestly on the Biden administration? And the answer was when Fox, when Hall got hurt in Ukraine, and he did get hurt very badly, lost a foot, lost part of his leg, lost his eye, can't hear anymore. They came to his rescue. What?
It makes no sense.
That wasn't the worst of it, though. The worst of it came with Ann Applebaum from the Atlantic, and many of our viewers, maybe they saw it, maybe not. That's
all four of you. Anyone see it?
Well, we get a lot more on Rumble later on. We get hundreds on Rumble.
Fake news.
Sometimes. Well, Ann Applebaum, editor of the Atlantic, this is what she had to say when a young person asked her why the media didn't cover the Hunter Biden laptop story. Watch this, you're gonna love it.
Amazing. Thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it. I'm Daniel Schmidt. I'm a freshman at the University of Chicago. My question is for Ms. Applebaum. So in 2020, you wrote, "Those who live outside the Fox News bubble do not, of course, need to learn any of the stuff about Hunter Biden," referring to his laptop, of course. A poll later after that found that if voters knew about the content of the laptop, 16% of Joe Biden voters would have acted differently. Now, of course, we know a few weeks ago, the New York Times confirmed that the content is real. Do you think the media acted inappropriately when they instantly dismissed Hunter Biden's laptop as Russian disinformation? And what can we learn from that in ensuring that what we label as disinformation is truly disinformation and not reality?
I mean, my problem with Hunter Biden's laptop is I think totally irrelevant. I mean, it's not whether it's disinformation or, I don't think the Hunter Biden's business relationships have anything to do with who should be president of the United States. So I don't find it to be interesting. I mean, that would be my problem with that as a major news story.
We're going to talk about more of this tomorrow.
He just said that people would have been swayed not to vote for him if they knew about the information.
Mm-hmm. So she had her answer prepared already. She didn't find it interesting, and so therefore her readers would not find it interesting. And she didn't think that there was anything to be said. Because what does somebody's kids' business dealings have to do with the President of the United States? Well, let me show you what she said about Donald Trump's kids when he was in office. So she went after Ivanka. She goes after Trump's kids. So she went after his son-in-law. But that was interesting.
Of course. Yeah. But what your kids do should not put a persuasion on who should be president.
Unless you're a Republican. Then your kids I can go after. I mean, you know, why questioning why Ivanka Trump would be, you know, written about, questioning what's his name? Oh my gosh, I forgot the son-in-law's name. When he was the one negotiating the peace treaty.
Oh God, I don't remember.
Yeah, Jared.
Yeah.
Kushner. Right. Yeah, Jared Kushner. So right there. I mean, those were her tweets in 2017.
No, they weren't, Leticia. No, they weren't. You're misreading it. That's not her.
That was interesting for her. She found that interesting, but she didn't find the Hunter Biden story interesting. Yeah.
Tell us how you really feel.
I mean, come on. This is what is happening. And they're just going to keep on saying, no, it's not happening. You're crazy.
Wasn't me. Didn't say it.
It's like a person that beats their wife. No. I love you. Don't worry.
Because their audience, look who they're catering to. The audience is the same as they just don't, they're herds of listening. I can't even, you know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to find the word of what they are, but they're followers. It's like a little cult.
Sheep, you mean?
They're sheep, but that wasn't the word. But yes, sheep. They will believe what they hear. So they know that their people will believe whatever they say. Yep. So they're just going to say anything. It makes no sense. I used to say to my business partner all the time, are we that smart, that much smarter than everybody else? Or are we just really, really, really delusional and brainwashed? Which one is it? Because there's no normal anymore.
But these are the people that are giving information out to voters. These are the people that are, you know, by the choice of their profession, being the press, they're supposed to research, they're supposed to collect facts, they're supposed to give us those facts without color. They're supposed to deliver the facts and then create the story. But they're storytellers, and they have an agenda, and that agenda is not what's best for the United States. And that is really scary, because you expect it in Venezuela, you expect it in Cuba, you expect it even in the Ukraine and in Russia and in China. But it is happening right here. And when it comes time for people to rise up and say, oh no, we say nothing. And it concerns me greatly, because we have an election coming up. So we see all this that's going on. We see that people say that they would vote differently. Are you going to tell me that the elections in November are going to be fair and honest and open?
No, it doesn't matter what people say if they're going to go vote. It's not. They're going to find a way to flip it.
Well, that scares me. That scares me.
Well, that's
and if we don't see a red tsunami this year, then we know that the corruption is all the way into our voting system.
Well, if you do see a red tsunami, like if we know and everyone's saying they're going to go vote, it's still going to turn out that it's not, in my opinion.
But that's the whole thing, right? We hear that the country is voting red, that we hear that they're going to toss people out. If the election results come out any other way than the Republicans reclaiming the House and the Senate, then we are in deep shit.
Again, like I said, fingerprint, face recognition. I needed to get into my banking. I needed to get into my phone. I needed to get into the polling site. Face recognition. It's free. Why don't we have it?
Well,
that's it.
And if it's not, you know, and if anybody out there wants to say that they can't screw around with the elections, they can infiltrate anything, including Homeland Security.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to play a clip now of two men who were arrested for posing as Homeland Security agents. They were able to provide cash, housing, and firearms, and all kinds of things to two Secret Service agents. And they were able to get close to our current First Lady, Jill Biden, into her security detail. This happened now, just now, this happened. Watch this.
Tonight, growing national security concerns after the arrest of 2 men for allegedly impersonating federal Homeland Security agents and the suspension of 4 Secret Service agents after accusations they accepted extravagant gifts and housing from the men, including an agent assigned to protect the first family. Investigators say Arian Taherzadeh and Haydar Ali operated out of this D.C. apartment building where FBI agents were seen gathering evidence. Federal prosecutors today reporting a search of their residences and cars uncovered weapons, ammunition, body armor, gas masks, a drone, and a binder with a list of every resident in the apartment complex. The government says Haydar Ali claimed to have a connection to the ISI, the Pakistani intelligence service, and that agents found visas showing a history of travel to Pakistan and Iran.
So they infiltrated Homeland Security. Think about that. Think about that. And they were able to impress Secret Service agents. So what's going on here? This is crazy. And you're going to tell me that they can't infiltrate our voting system? Something's wrong.
No, I know. Just to change the subject because we're overtime, but Brian said I'm wearing the wrong hat. It says Yankees. Yes, I know. It was the first hat I grabbed. I am a true Mets fan, but we go to Yankees games as well. So whatever. And also, can I end with this? Because my son, when we went out to lunch yesterday, was reading something from Fox News, and I dove into it. And Palm Springs in California is giving people who identify as transgender or non-binary $800 a month.
Yep.
$800 a month. This is what so no strings attached. You don't have to prove anything. Right. So everybody, if you don't like New York, move to Palm Springs. $800 a month. Just put on a skirt. I don't even think you have to. You don't even have to do it. I had to get it out. I was waiting the whole show just to talk about it. Sorry.
Well, I was going to include that story, and there was just so much. I knew we were going to go over. Frank James says they need to mimic Florida's model. Mail-in voting is counted prior to the general election. Less chance of fraudulent ballots found. I agree with you, Frank. That is a really good idea. And as far as the Palm Springs County, it's insane. Why? Because you're transgender, you can't work. I mean, we have transgender people as commissioners in Biden's administration. So what the hell? What the hell? It's just another way of trying to use money to influence people for the vote.
They only have $200,000 to allot to that. That'll be gone in 3 minutes because everybody's going to say there.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's unconstitutional. It's not allowed. So we're going to end this show on a sad note. Our dear friend Joe Carroll, who was the longtime district manager of the community board, who was a friend to everyone, who was my best friend, has passed away this morning from congestive heart failure. We love him, and he will be missed in Staten Island and New York City. He was well known and loved by all. So, well, thanks everybody for joining us. Jen, what else do you have to say before we
Nothing.
go?
I got it all out. I'm good.
So we had a show without bovines, but we did have some out of this world crap that went on. Everybody enjoy your weekend. It's supposed to be really nice in most places, and we'll see you next. For the 4 of you that stayed with us, we'll see you next week, 3:30. And if you watch us on Rumble, please make sure to subscribe and give us a rumble.
We'll find
Take
out.
Take it easy, everybody.